You're listening to Now I've Heard Everything, conversations with the icons of our time.
Anything covered in chocolate works, even insects. We actually get requests for that. We haven't gone that far.
We'll never carry chocolate-covered insects, never.
That would require sampling, and I don't think I'm up for that.
Chocolatiers Francis and Ginger Park. Today on Now I've Heard Everything, I'm Bill Thompson. For 40 years, a modest, family-owned business has been supplying the folks of Washington, D.C. with a treat that no one dislikes, chocolate. It was started in 1984 by sisters Ginger and Frances Park, daughters of a Korean immigrant. And their story is as appealing as the sweet treats they sell at their store called Chocolate Chocolate. In fact, it may be their store's atmosphere of family and community, as much as it is the appeal of the products they sell, that has kept people coming back for decades. Francis and Ginger also write books, especially children's books, but in 2011, they finally got together and wrote their own story, the story of how they started their store and what's kept it going all these years. Their book is called, appropriately enough, Chocolate Chocolate. That's when I met them and, yes, happily sampled their products. In a moment, my conversation with Francis and Ginger Park.
This is one of the more than 10,000 interviews that noted radio personality Bill Thompson did over a 30-year span. Sit back and relax, unless you're driving, in which case, keep your eyes on the road.
So here now, from 2011, Francis and Ginger Park.
I couldn't help thinking as I was reading how many people, smart, well-funded, intelligent people, start up a business and it fails after 2 years or 5 or 10 or even 20 years. And here you're going into your, 28th year. Do you think back on it sometimes and think, wow, how did this happen to us?
Well, we often think, how did we sleep at night back in the 80s? Because that first year, we definitely ate more chocolate than we sold. But we didn't worry back then. We were kids, you know? You're not thinking about retirement and whatnot. You're just thinking about all the great chocolate around you and how you can get everyone who's walking by your store and not looking in to come in.
And I also think that a lot of people go into business with the idea of making money, and that's not something we did. We actually went into business to stay together as sisters. We've always been extremely close, but after our father passed away in 1979, we decided that we wanted to do something together. And originally we thought about maybe doing shoes, a restaurant, I think even a McDonald's. All the while we were popping chocolate, Hershey Kisses actually. And we looked at each other one day and we said, you know what? Let's do chocolate. So we surrounded ourselves with what we loved, each other and chocolate. And we didn't worry about the bills that were piling up. I mean, when you're in your 20s, you really don't worry about those things. And quite honestly, we loved what we did. And we still do.
Would I be correct in guessing that there have been a day now and then over the years when you've thought, why didn't we open a McDonald's?
No, because we would get tired of eating Big Macs and French fries. You never tire of eating chocolate. We've been eating chocolate every day for, I want to say about 28 years. And I eat 2 truffles for breakfast every morning. I skip the coffee, but I eat the truffles.
I have chocolate every day, and I tell my wife I think it makes me healthier.
Well, we always tell customers that you need a prescription for dark chocolate now, because there are health reports from the New England Journal of Medicine that state that dark chocolate is good for you, not only as an aphrodisiac, but it's good for cholesterol, it's good for high blood pressure, and it's good for your mood. It contains serotonin.
That's what I tell myself. As I snarf it down.
You're a health freak,
Well,
just like us.
in our book, we have a section about 911. We weren't even sure if we were going to open the next day. We didn't even know if we had access to the city. But we decided, you know what, we're going to open and see what happens. And our shop was packed, and we actually chronicle a scene like this in our book, where a woman comes in and the shop is packed with people, and she buys some dark chocolate almond bark. And she turns around right before she leaves and she raises it up and she says, you know, if you handed this out in a war zone, there would be peace on earth. And it's true. However, when we run out of our dark almond bark, there's a war that might start in our shop. We would rather not open our doors if we run out of our dark chocolate almond bark, because people look at us as a pharmacy now. In the 80s, we were like a decadent chocolate boutique. In the 21st century, we are a pharmacy. I mean, we're very healthy.
I did wonder, I mean, that your book really helps illuminate how a business like yours does evolve, because certainly what you've got now is not the same as what you opened in 1984.
Yeah, I would say that maybe half the lines we carry are the same. We are really loyal to the chocolate companies that have been loyal to us. That includes a local line out of Baltimore. That's more like the old-fashioned nuts and shoes. You know, when you just really want something to sink your teeth into while you're watching a movie. And then we still carry the Belgian line that we started off with. The first international fancy food show we went to, there were 2 Belgian lines we were considering. And the first one we went to didn't treat us very well. They didn't treat us well at all. They didn't think that they wanted to sell chocolate to us. And we went to the other one, the Newhouse Company, and they rolled out the red carpet. And so 28 years later, we still sell a lot of their chocolate. Having said that, chocolate taste has changed over the years. A lot more people prefer the dark chocolate now. And they also like, you know, there's sort of like an interesting chocolate kettle now filled with, you know, different flavor, spices, lavender, chilies, honey, bacon even. Yes, we have a bacon bar that we picked up because our customers forced us to. Yeah. And so chocolate tastes have evolved.
Is there anything you've ever been pitched by a manufacturer that you thought, oh, this just would never work?
Chocolate-covered potato chips. I'm actually one that I love potato chips and I love chocolate, but the combination seems so odd to us. However, they're a huge hit. And I think we learned from that anything covered in chocolate works, even insects, because we actually get requests for that. We haven't gone that far. We do have the bacon and we do have the lavender and we have the goji berries, but not the insects yet.
We'll never carry chocolate-covered insects. Never.
Well, that would require sampling, and I don't think I'm up for that.
But that has to be one of the most fun parts of what you do, isn't it? Is the sampling?
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you.
It's the kid in the candy store.
Yeah, every day for us. And you know what's even nicer is when we actually sample chocolates out to our customers. Walking into our store isn't like walking into a bank. You always have really happy people coming into our store, and you make them even more happy when you put out the samples. And our customers have actually helped us over the years select chocolates, because you want to sell what everyone loves.
You'd be surprised, though, a lot of companies bring us samples, and they're beautifully packaged, and they look really good, and we get very excited. We usually don't eat them when they're in the store. We wait until they're gone, and then we go to town. But I would say 90% of the time, at least, we are disappointed. I mean, we've had the best. We feel we carry the best, so we can tell that no matter how pretty a package is, it has to live up to our tastes.
But I'm guessing that as fascinating as all the chocolate stories are, I think what's also resonating with your readers is the family story, is the two of you. I mean, like you said, you could be working at McDonald's, you could have owned a yarn store or something, but it's the story of the two of you that I think people are really drawn to.
Well, like Ginger mentioned, when we lost a father, we found a dream. It was to be together. We don't really have a large family, and we always stuck together, us and our mom. And so in order to make sure we always stay together, we went into business. And for sure we wouldn't have gone into business if, as our mother claims, chocolate wasn't in our blood. Because when she escaped from North to South Korea in 1947, she was given silk by her mother and instead of money, because she could use that in an emergency. And when she came to South Korea, and this is right before the war, there were, it was a bad scene, and she was just sleeping on the floor of a church, and she saw a store that sold black market Hershey bars, and she traded her silk for chocolate. And she would eat her chocolate at night when the bombs were going off and say, if I have to die, I'm going to die with chocolate in my mouth. And years later, when we were kids, she always had a big Hershey bar in the fridge, which we knew we couldn't touch. She never even had to say anything. I guess the way it was hidden way in the back behind, we just knew. And she would take a piece off and just nibble on it and stare out the back, the living room window. And we wondered where she was, because at that point, we didn't know the story. We didn't know until years later.
Wow,
Well, a true chocoholic always finds that Hershey bar in the refrigerator, and I have to admit, even though I knew it was special, I did feel it needed to be shared.
But chocolate is meant to be shared, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Valentine's Day in our shop, and, people actually believe that men don't love chocolate. Men love chocolate. And, this is a message to all the women out there. You need to come in on Valentine's Day for your male lover, because they do love chocolate.
Is there anything that well, let's put it this way. It's hard for me to think of a question you've probably not already been asked on a daily basis, but is there anything that when you look back on it now, back on day one, that knowing what you know now, that you would have said, oh my gosh, would we have done that differently?
Well, actually, when we had to move to our new location, it was like starting all over again. And even though it was only a block away, in the city that can feel like a million miles away. And we lost a lot of our customers, but the process of building out a new store and actually having to pick up several new lines of chocolate, we were starting over. And yes, we learned a lot from our early days.
Choose your contractor carefully.
Exactly. I was going to say, in the early days, we were pretty naive, and we were taken by a crooked contractor. That didn't happen the second time around. It's almost like a fairy tale. Our contractor was actually a customer for many years. However, we were still pretty hard on this construction company, because we weren't going to go through what we went through last time. And there were times where they looked at us like we had a loose, screw in our heads, because we were just all over them for everything, because we lost so much in the beginning.
See, I'm not surprised that you met a contractor that way, because I'm guessing right here, just literally within stone's throw of the White House, I'm guessing almost everyone in any profession that you can name has been through your door at some point, haven't they?
It was interesting, because when we knew we had to look for a new location, we would call up different leasing agents and meet them at spots. Every single one was a customer. It didn't matter where it was in D.C. It was so odd. It was like, oh my God, I love your chocolate-covered gummy bears, or I always get the turtles for so-and-so, or I love your Swiss chocolate. Yeah, it was every single one. So when we knew that there was a space here, we had an appointment scheduled with the guy who leases this building. Well, it was a customer. Yeah, it was a customer. And he actually does appear in our book, because one of the difficult parts of writing the book is that 25 years is a long time. You have a lot of memories you're going to condense into, 200 and some pages. So we had to think about who we were going to include. There were a lot of scenes that ended up on the cutting floor, scenes that just looked beautiful, but they just didn't, we had to make cuts in places.
Well, in one word, sequel.
Sequel. I need a vacation first, but yeah.
I'm guessing, all right, now I'm going to be way off base here, but I'm guessing it might not be much of an exaggeration to say if somebody said, how do I get hold of the ambassador from Luxembourg? You'd probably find a way. I mean, you probably know somebody who knows somebody.
Oh, that's true.
Well, you know what's interesting is you'd be surprised how many of our customers are famous people, but to us, there's Mr. Such and Such. There's Mr. Almondbark, you know. We have nicknames for everyone who walks through. Oh, my gosh, I didn't know he was the anchor on such and such, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the way it is. I mean, to us, they all have chocolate nicknames, but there are a lot of famous people who walk through our doors. And you know what? All the stories are good.
Has a president ever stopped by?
Actually, there's a very interesting story in our book about a wonderful customer of ours, Senator Dale Bumpers. Although we just call him the Senator in our book. He came in one day and told my husband, Skip, I'm going to bring a friend in to meet you, so you better be here. Unfortunately, he was not there, but he brought in Bill Clinton. Yeah, who unfortunately is allergic to chocolate. And I'm thinking, yeah, apparently Bill Clinton is allergic to chocolate. But he was still in there. So
That's why there's gummy bears.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. There you go. I would like to add one other thing. While we've written lots of children's books and adult fiction, we had never written a memoir. And we had no idea how challenging it could be in one sense. And, you know, you're opening up your whole life to the public, which was tough, but we did it. The other thing that was really neat about writing a memoir was that we resurrected lost memories. Had we not written this book, those memories, some of the memories in the book, we would have forgotten forever. And so that's the magic of writing.
Customers for so many years had said, you write all these books, and a lot of them have to do with food. Why aren't you writing about chocolate? But the thing is that, you know, a writer has to be inspired. You can't force yourself to write a book. Otherwise, you know, it's not genuine. It's not coming from the heart. When we lost our lease at the location we were at for 25 years and locked our doors on that very last day, we knew we could not let a quarter century of chocolate love go. And we decided, as authors who had already been writing about our customers just in our spare time, we thought, it's time for a memoir. We've got to write about this experience.
The Park sisters are both in their 60s now, and Chocolate, still going strong. Now you can get your copy of Chocolate, the book by Frances and Ginger Park, by tapping the link in our show notes, by clicking the link in the description below if you're listening to this on YouTube, or by going to our website, heardeverything.com. We may earn an Amazon commission if you make a purchase. Heardeverything.com is where you can also hear my 1994 interview with the gentleman who just recently passed away, the founder of Famous Amos Cookies, Wally Amos.
I love selling cookies. I love eating them, making them. I love everything about chocolate chip cookies. There are millions of people that identify me in cookies. I've created a lot of goodwill. That goodwill didn't belong to Famous Amos. It belonged to Wally Amos.
And my 1996 conversation with another famous cookie maker, Debbie Fields.
Before I started the Mrs. Fields cookie business, I actually weighed about 25 pounds more. I tried every diet under the sun. Every diet book basically said, give up dessert, give up chocolate. Now, I can't give up chocolate.
And of course, we post new episodes of Now I've Heard Everything every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. And thank you so much for listening. Next time on Now I've Heard Everything, my conversation with a conservative icon who, more than 30 years ago, argued in favor of some sort of national service as a means of expressing gratitude for what the country has to offer. We'll revisit my 1990 interview with William F. Buckley Jr.
What we need to do is revitalize the idealistic sensibilities of Americans, and the fact that in the course of doing this, they're helping the poor, helping the aged, that's terrific, but it's incidental.
That's next time on Now I've Heard Everything. I'm Bill Thompson.